for our friends in the media, just to let you know, we're going to have a slightly different process today. So we have some guests with us, and we'll do 2 rounds of questions today. So one is after our guests are able to speak, then I will go to 1 round of questions specifically on the first thing we're going to talk about today. I'm being vague because I don't want to scoop myself, but it'll become obvious in a moment what we're doing. So we'll go for a round of questions then, and rather than asking people to re-queue, I'll actually just say you can have up to 3 questions at a go, up to, you don't have to take them all, and just say who it is you want to speak with so we can do the choreography up here and maintain the appropriate physical distancing. After that, Chief Sampson will come up and do his thing, and I will come up and do my thing, and we'll have another round of questions from the media on that stuff. And will we do the same 3 questions, Sheila? No, we'll go back to the normal procedure for that other round. All right, so thanks everybody for being here. And I want to acknowledge that yet again, I need to start our conversation today by noting that we've lost more of our neighbors. We're up to 42 individuals as of April 23rd. The good news is that number is growing more slowly than it has been. The bad news is it is continuing to grow. We are still in this situation. The peak is still ahead of us. And so while the spring is bringing with us thoughts of what happens next, and I love that the provinces and the federal government are talking about what happens next and what the relaunch plans are, we need to remember that is a while away yet. And today we continue to mourn those that we have lost, and we continue to be disciplined in our fervor in ensuring that we are doing the right thing for our communities, because the act of staying home, of being kind, does save lives. And it really is, in fact, a real act of community spirit to look after one another. It's an act of love, and I want to make sure that we are continuing to do that. You'll notice that I actually got suited up today. It was a bit weird to wear a suit and tie and nice shoes. The reason is because I wanted to be able to wear my red tartan tie. Today is Wear Red Friday, and I wish that it was just a happy reason that I wanted to wear my red tartan tie. But in fact, today is the day for all of us across this country to come together in an act of unity around the folks that we lost in Nova Scotia, 22 victims, of course, including Constable Heidi Stevenson. You know, it's funny sometimes what a small country this is. Here we are on the other side of the country, and I realize that my friends, I don't have any family in Nova Scotia, but I got a lot of friends there. And I realize how close my friends were to many of these victims, including Constable Stevenson. And it reminds us that every loss is a personal loss. Every loss is a loss for each one of us. And certainly our hearts are with the people of Nova Scotia today. Today is also an important day for Muslims around the world, as well as Muslims here in Calgary, as we begin the holy month of Ramadan. Like Passover and Easter before, we are going to experience a Ramadan like we've never experienced before. There will be no congregational prayer. There will be no ability to celebrate iftar, the breaking of the fast, with our friends and our extended family. And there will be no Big Eid celebration this year. And for Muslims, that is tough. And I am not an imam, I am not a theologian, but I have been thinking about this a lot. And you know, in my own personal practice, I think of the act of fasting during Ramadan, as a remembrance of the necessity of my service to the world. That when I'm hungry or I'm thirsty, and I've just got that little edge of hunger, little edge of thirst, it reminds me of people for whom hunger or thirst is not a choice. And what my job is to make sure that no one should go hungry or thirsty. And certainly the Muslim community here in Calgary for many, many years has used Ramadan as an excuse to talk about food security, to raise money for the food bank. But this year, that little bit of self-sacrifice, in addition to the sacrifice that we're asking everyone to make, that sacrifice to stay home, that feels right to me. And it feels that during this month of prayer and of sacrifice, together Muslims can really help understand how those acts of sacrifice are very directly protecting others. And that is certainly will be part of my practice this Ramadan. And I just want to say Ramadan Kareem to everyone who is starting this holy month today. All right, getting to a major announcement today. I feel like perhaps this is not a surprise. I feel like perhaps the announcement you heard from the province yesterday preempted what I was going to say today, but I do want to be clear. So, as you know, the city has previously canceled all city supported events. Those are events organized by the city, events that need permits from the city, events that occur on public land until June 30th. And today I am announcing, with great sadness, but it's the right thing to do, that we are extending that ban until August 31st. That means that 169 events that we look forward to every single year will no longer be with us, including Canada Day. So yesterday, a lot of people reached out to me from across the country and around the world and said, "Wow, no Calgary Stampede, no folk festival. How are you feeling?" And my answer was, this is my job, right? My job has great points, like riding a horse at the front of the Stampede Parade. I do not get any special privileges at the Calgary Folk Festival, however. I line up with my tarp with everybody else, and that's how it should be, Sarah. Um, but there are sometimes tough parts of my job, and that is around making really difficult decisions that I know will disappoint a lot of people. But last night, when I got home late here from the Emergency Operations Center, I'll tell you that I gave myself a little indulgence. And the little indulgence I gave myself is I let myself be sad for myself. Because even for me, as someone who lives this city in my blood and in my veins, going to the Calgary Stampede and eating those mini donuts and getting into fights about which stand is the best, lining up with my friends that I see once a year for 4 days with our very, very disciplined and regimented tarp running schedule, not running, walking schedule, which I manage to screw up every single year. Enjoying the fireworks at Global Fest, having one of the busiest days of my year every day at Canada Day, where I start first thing in the morning with the seniors breakfast at the Calgary Zoo. I have lunch with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat at their giant festival in Canada, in Prairie Winds Park. And I end by pushing the magic button to start the fireworks close to midnight. It is my favorite day of the year, and we will not be able to move forward, unfortunately, with any of those things today. I do want to talk to you just for a moment about the city's Canada Day festivities that I know people look forward to so much every year, and so do I. Oh, man, nothing will beat 2017 Canada 150, but it's been pretty great since then as well. Um, we're going to celebrate Canada Day. We're going to celebrate it this year in a different way, just like we're doing Neighbor Day. We're going to celebrate it together as a country, but physically apart. Here's the thing, I don't exactly know how to do that. So we're reaching out to citizens today, asking members of the public to send in your best ideas for what you want to see with this new kind of Canada Day. Give us your ideas on social media, hashtag OCanadaYYC. Call our friends at 311. They need some good news sometimes with your great ideas, and we will continue to have a great Canada Day. Now, I have talked for way too long, because what I really wanted to do today is I wanted to invite three guests with me here on stage separately to talk about the incredible things they do in the community, that they do every year, and how they are looking forward to thinking about being together apart and what the impact is on their organizations. So I'll introduce all three now, and we'll have each come one at a time. So we have Carrie Fritz. Hi, Carrie, the Executive Director of the Calgary Humane Society, who is going to talk about Dog Jog, which I love, in Glenmore Park. Sarah Leishman is here, who is, of course, the unbelievably amazing Executive Director of Folkfest, who is going to tell us about what is going on with the Calgary Folk Festival, and my good friend Naeem Chowdhury, here with us from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat to talk about Calgary's wonderful Canada Day Festival at um, Prairie Winds Park. You're holding up a sign with very small words on it. Oh, I'm sorry. I said 169 events. It's actually 166 events. So what we're going to do is we'll have Carrie, then Sarah, then Naeem, and then I will come back and we will take questions on the event ban or questions for our friends. And as I said, our friends in the media, you can ask 3 questions. So with that, Carrie.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here today to talk about Calgary Humane Society's Dog Jog. This is typically our largest fundraiser of the year. It's where we welcome 400 dog owners and their pets to South Glenmore Park for a 5-kilometer walk and jog. It's a really fun day for animal lovers, and we typically raise about $150,000 every year at this event. So it really does help to fund some of the programs that we have that serve the community of Calgary. And unfortunately, this year we will not be able to have it at South Glenmore Park. Definitely understand the decision. It's the smart decision, just given the circumstances, and we want to keep the community safe. But you'll notice that I am in dog walking clothing, and that is because we are definitely going to be having a dog jog. It's just going to be looking a little bit differently this year. It will be a virtual event, so participants can still come and join us for a socially distant walk in their own community on June 6th. So there will be an app that everybody can download to their phone. They can learn a little bit more about Calgary Humane Society, and then they can also upload photos and videos of them taking a walk or jog with their pet, and they can send those in and we can post those online to our website. People are able to now join us in their own community, being safe, keeping that 2-meter distance from others. So it is still an opportunity to get out there, to feel connected, and support a really great cause. And of course, have some fun outside with your dog, which we are still allowed to do. So please log on to our website at calgaryhumane.ca and get registered, and you'll be able to find out everything that you need to know about our annual dog jog. So thank you very much.
Sarah, come on up.
Thank you so much for having me today. Yesterday's announcement that the Calgary Folk Music Festival, the 41st edition, was canceled was absolutely heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for staff, for board, for our 2,000 volunteers, our 50,000 patrons. Not to mention that it's going to have a huge impact on our organization. The Folk Fest brings in 41% of our revenue as an organization. And we also do a lot of business with local suppliers and local vendors. And so definitely a big impact. That said, it was absolutely the right thing to do. We've made an investment as a community for the past 6 weeks and ongoing to stay physically distanced and to try and fight this virus. And thinking that the Calgary Folk Fest could do something that would undermine all of that work was just not even a question. And so while we're sad, we're finding ways that we're going to be able to celebrate together, but appropriately apart. And we're working with our partners, we're having conversations with musicians to be able to bring you some programming that will help you celebrate music and help Calgarians celebrate the summer. And so we are going to be launching some online concert programming in the next couple of weeks here. Why not start now? And we're already trying to figure out ways that we'll be able to celebrate our weekend, which was July 23rd to the 26th. So go to calgaryfolkfest.com, go to our social media channels to find out more about that. That's going to continue to evolve, but we're very excited to keep the community connected to each other and to music in an appropriate way, of course. And I'd just like to thank Calgarians. Since we announced our cancellation yesterday, the flood of outpouring and support, people sharing their Folk Fest stories about meeting their spouse, people sharing their stories about bringing their infant, like their 1-week-old infant, to their very first folk festival, have been absolutely amazing. We've had people that have donated their ticket for 2020 to the organization, and people making donations of all sorts of sizes. So we feel your support, Calgary. We're so grateful, and we thank you for that. And in return, we promise that we're going to bring you music this summer. We're working on it, so do be patient with us, but we'll give you something to look forward to and something to celebrate this summer. Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May mercy and peace of Allah be on all of you. On behalf of Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, I would like to offer Ramzan Mubarak to all the listeners and viewers. Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat organizes Canada Day since so many years in Prairie Winds Park. That Canada Day is one of the largest celebration of its kind, where we serve free barbecue to Calgarians. But the safety of the citizens is more important for us. So this year, I know the volunteers and the people who always participate are very excited, but due to the COVID-19, we are following the direction of the City of Calgary. We have to postpone it. We'll see when the things get better. We will also see the feedback from the citizen how we can still celebrate without getting together in Prairie Winds Park. At the same time, uh, since the Ramzan is starting, and Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat always invite our non-Muslim friends to attend iftar dinner in Beit Noor Mosque, which is one of the largest mosques in Canada. But this year we cannot offer that dinner, but we will be having a virtual Ramzan celebration tomorrow, which is Saturday. This is a national campaign, and you can join us by visiting virtualramadan.ca, virtual, RAMADAN.ca, and you can find out how we fast, and you can also join the national prayer for all of our country and our people who are losing their lives against this coronavirus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie, Sarah, and Naeem for everything that you do. And I know these are tough discussions to be having. And here we are throwing you the microphone in front of a camera to talk about them. But I also want to say thank you for being flexible in how you're thinking about this work. And, you know, organizations that deserve your support, especially in fundraising, are being thoughtful and flexible across the city on these things. I love that Kids Cancer Care, for example, is doing an old-fashioned bottle drive this weekend, returning to their roots. When I heard that, I went, "What's the catch?" And they said, "No, we're actually doing a bottle drive. Bring your bottles to this depot and drop them off, and we'll take them out of your trunk, and you won't have to get out of your car." My friends at Hike for Hospice, I always think of that as the beginning of the season of charity walks and runs. I'm supposed to do a video for them, but they asked me to do the video on the treadmill, which no one needs to see that. And also, I couldn't figure out how to get the tripod on the treadmill. I'm doing it for you guys. But what they are suggesting is that everyone take their own hike outside or on their treadmill in support of hospice. And organizations across the city are doing very similar things. So don't use this as an excuse not to support these organizations throughout the city. In fact, if anything, they need you more than ever. Right now. So we're going to pause there and we'll go to questions on the event ban for me or for our three guests. So operator, if you could let through the first question, please. Remember, media, you can ask 3 questions. Just let me know up front who you want to ask to so we can get people sorted.
Our first question comes from Darren Cruz of Livewire. Your line is open.
Boy, I'm going to have to give the pronunciation there before you start.
I feel like Kraus is easy to say, and I feel like I've heard it 10 million different ways over this last month.
That's okay. So in regards to the event cancellation, obviously there's the Calgary Stampeders season coming up very quickly. Training camp starts here right away. Does the public event ban include training camp and or games?
The current rule from Alberta Public Health is that gatherings over 15 people are not currently allowed. Professional sports, even training camp, do not at this time have an exemption. It is certainly possible. I don't want to speak for Dr. Hinshaw. Lord knows I shouldn't. It is certainly possible that you might be able to see something happen for training camp. But Tom, I think it's fair for us to say I don't see a world where you're having a game in a packed McMahon Stadium this summer. So, you know, the ban on mass gatherings throughout the summer, I can't imagine that would not apply to football games. Yet another thing I love to do in the summer. All right, Darren, is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next questions, please.
Our next question comes from Kevin Nimick of CTV. Your line is open.
Kevin, do you have anything to ask me about now that you've actually got an answer to your question?
Oh, I sure do, Mayor.
Remember, just on the event ban. We do have other things later, but go ahead.
Totally fair. I think this applies to the events ban. I'm wondering about summer camps and sporting activities for kids. Presumably those are all out the window for the rest of the summer. That would extend to the city-led summer camps. Could you speak on the impact that's going to have on children and also parents who rely on the childcare portion of these summer camps so that they can go to work?
That is such an important question. And yes, for now, that does mean that summer camps, including city-held summer camps, will not be able to go forward. I know my colleagues in Calgary Recreation are looking at different kinds of virtual activities and things that kids can get engaged with. That does not solve the childcare problem. I'm well aware of that. But unfortunately, those great experiences will not be going forward this summer either. All right, we'll go to the next question, please. Do we have another question, operator?
There are no other questions. There are no other questions on the phone at this time.
Okay, thanks everybody. We'll go through another round, but a special thank you to our guests for the great work that they're doing. I'm going to turn it over, as always, to Chief Tom Sampson, the Chief of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency. Tom?
Thanks, Your Worship. And as the Mayor has said, all 166 LED events are cancelled until the end of August 31st. In addition to this, we're also asking and cancelling the permits for third-party events that are set to be held on City of Calgary property right through August 31st also. So those events cannot proceed. Public safety and physical distancing, that 6 feet or 2 meters, is just critically important. And, we in Calgary want to be the leaders in showing and demonstrating the right way to do things. So these decisions are not easy, but they're the decisions that we have to make to protect you, your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, whoever it might be. We'll continue to reevaluate the decision after August 31st. That's a long chunk of time right now. In fact, if I'm honest with you, it's a longer chunk of time than I was comfortable in declaring, but we knew you needed to make plans. We knew you had commitments, and you needed to understand exactly what's going on. We all have to do our part to flatten the curve, and this is unfortunately part of it. I want to talk to you about enforcement for a minute, if I can change topics. We're working to enforce the state of local emergency regulation and the public health orders that are out there. Not only are we keeping an eye on physical distancing and social gathering, but we had to work with businesses who are operating inappropriately. I'm going to run through some of those stats for you. So business licensing has had over 500 complaints through 311 in relationship to COVID-19. Our officers are working with Alberta Health Services, Calgary Police Service, Bylaw Services, that's the peace officers, Calgary Fire Department, Alberta Gaming and Liquor Services to address the various concerns that have been listed from those service requests. To date, there's been 100, I mentioned before, I'll maybe go back before I start. We've started from a point of education. And so, there's people who genuinely haven't been clear on some of these things, but that time really has passed. So to date, we have written 134 written warnings that have been issued on to non-essential business-related activity. We've had one business have their license suspended, along with an order of closure by AHS. That's really unfortunate, right? And you don't want to be that business and have those kind of impacts. We've had 2 violation tickets for $1,000 each issued under business license bylaw for failure to maintain the provincial regulations. We've had a violation ticket issued for operating without a proper business license and a violation ticket issued to a business for providing a fake or altered business license. That business was fined for operating without a business license, was selling hand sanitizer out of the back of a vehicle in a parking lot. We need to remind folks that you can't buy your hand sanitizer there. And if you have bought your hand sanitizer there, I'd encourage you to throw it out. We don't know the quality of that. Hand sanitizer is regulated by Health Canada to ensure that it's appropriate for contact with your skin. And we all know, even with contact with the skin, it can be quite irritating. But the hand sanitizer bought on the side of the road should not be retained. It should be thrown out immediately. Just as a final reminder around enforcement side of things, we see a lot of positive examples of compliance. I ran into a business the other day and I was just so impressed how some of the folks in erosion control were doing. They were doing a tailgate meeting. I think I mentioned it the other day, but just impressed with, and no, I don't have shares in that company, but impressed with how they were doing things right. And those people serve as a great example to all of us. With more outside activity likely to happen this weekend, some great weather coming up. We will be increasing the parking restrictions in some areas to reduce the volume. So specifically on Crescent Road, it's been a problem up there. I've personally gone up a number of times to witness it, but we'll do a pilot road closure in the area to see whether that resolves the problem or not. We'll be providing increased education to drivers through a new ambassador program. And I said drivers, I should have said education program to citizens through a new ambassador program. We also want to remind you that if the park and pathway you go to is busy, we'd encourage you to go somewhere else. Just, there's 8,000 hectares and over 1,000 kilometers of trails in the city. And so pick another spot, take the path less traveled, you'll have a great time. I've said so many times up on this stage that we prefer education to enforcement, but we're getting to the point where enforcement will unfold. And those of you who are not following the public health order by respecting the physical distancing when you leave your homes, we may have to unfortunately deal with you. This is not about being hard on you. It's the fact that if you're not living that distancing, you potentially being hard on others. And so we need you to get that. And I know you will. I believe you will, and I thank you for doing that. Well, a backyard or balcony isn't available to everyone. As I've said before, there's a lot of great options for going outside. And as long as you enjoy the space, stay around home if you can. An important note about backyard fire pits. The fire chief and I chatted today. He sees no reason for banning them. He's been in touch with Alberta Health Services. They see no reason for banning them from an air quality perspective. That could all change if we had a really super smoky summer as a result of fires in the province or in BC. But at this point in time, the fire chief doesn't feel there's a need to cancel backyard fire pits, nor do I. So having said that, though, I encourage you to have a smaller fire, to have a clean burning fire whenever you can, and recognize that your neighbors may be in a tight space and your smoke may become their problem. So please be respectful from that regard. If you have a significant problem, you can call 311, and fines for violating the regulations with regard to a backyard fire pit run between $100 and $500. I'm really uncomfortable with all this talk about cracking down, and especially because I want to say that I believe 98% of you are doing the exact right thing. You're doing everything perfectly, and I applaud you. It's the 2% we need to deal with. Like everything in the world, we need to deal with the 2% that are on the outside margins of that, and I assure you that our peace officers will do exactly that. With regard to yard work and gardening, the weather continues to get nicer, and it's fantastic. I know that my wife has told me that I'll be out in the front yard this year, or this weekend rather, and so I plan on having my gloves and getting to some work out there. We have some great tips for you online at calgary.ca, and the other thing, I was chatting with the director of parks. Currently, the community gardens will remain open for the 2020 growing season. Each community garden group is responsible to create an action plan for managing physical and social distancing, as well as ensuring the public health orders are followed. We also want to remind you that trips to the garden stores and garden centers are available for you. They need to be done cautiously, so limit your guests to one visitor. Shop online if you can. Utilize as many curbside pickup options as you can. Browse the item online so that you can be quick in and out of the store. And while shopping, try and keep the distancing as much as you can. If I can flip over now just to transit for a minute, transit update and a thank you. Right now, even with many people's travel habits changing, transit is still running and people continue to take it. We view transit as an essential service. It's how you, our citizens, get around the city. You might be going to a doctor's appointment. You might be going to the hospital. You might be just simply getting to your work where we need you to be. So thank you for what you're doing. Transit is considered that essential service. And today and the past couple of days, we've been hearing a lot about what's being canceled. But thankfully, Calgary Transit continues to run. We put a call out to our riders, and there's some things that I have to tell you about that because it's good news stories. Our ridership is about 100,000 people a day right now. That's way down from what we normally have. But here's a note that says, I take bus 22 to and from work as an RN, a registered nurse, at the immunization clinic at the Sheldon Schumer every day. I couldn't get there and do my job without you folks. So this is talking to the transit operators. Thank you for your hard work in this time. The schedule changes were communicated well and rolled out smoothly. The transit drivers are always lovely. Really, I couldn't ask for more, and thank you. That's from Hillary. And Hillary put 3 exclamation marks on it, so I should say thank you. So that's from Hillary. And then another one, right? Someone else we really need. A grocery store worker in the Sage Hill area, but I live in Bankview. I have no vehicle. I need, capitalized, public transit to get to work every day. If Calgary Transit was shut down during the pandemic, I could not get to work. It would take me 3 hours to walk to work. It would be detrimental for me if transit shut down. Thank you for running this survey, and that's signed Jason. So Calgary Transit's looking for more stories from the users. And you know what? I think in Calgary right now, we need some good news stories. So please send those in, calgary.ca. Leave us your comments on how we're doing in any part of the city. We'd be interested in hearing from you. Just before I relinquish the stage back to His Worship the Mayor, you'll note that I've gone from, we'll put the Mayor up.
I think, Tom, we were about to talk about the badge that you're wearing and how it's so hard that we are hearing so many stories of loss and grief and mourning, whether we are losing the ability to take off our shoes and listen to great music on an island in the middle of the city, or whether we are losing the loss of life, as we saw with so many of our friends and neighbors in Nova Scotia. And I know that that has hit those of us like Tom who have family members there particularly hard. And I know how hard that is, and I know how tough that is, and I know that no amount of good news makes up for that collective grief. But I also need you to understand what I always say is that we're in this together. And ultimately, those sacrifices that we're asking you to make are those that prevent grief and mourning for the community and for others. And that is why we need to be able to continue doing this. Now, that's not to say there isn't good news. So let me start with some good news, which is we heard some really good announcements from the federal government and the provincial government today around assistance for businesses that are undergoing hardship during this time. We have been working hard. I've been working hard, and the city has been working hard with local businesses to really advocate for what people need in order to keep going. And the number one thing on our list was commercial rent relief. And thinking about how we can do that in a way that doesn't put the landlords in very bad business, in a very bad situation, because they're business too, and that looks after the tenants. And the announcement, the devil always is in the details, but the announcements that we heard from the federal and provincial governments today, particularly around commercial rent relief, as well as around more assistance for the energy sector, that's going to keep businesses open. It's going to prevent businesses from going bankrupt. It is much needed, and it is much welcomed, and it is much appreciated. And so thank you for the Government of Canada and the Government of Alberta for really listening to what we've been saying in conjunction with our small business partners about what is really needed. I'm not done. I will continue to advocate. My colleagues on council will continue to advocate, and the city will continue to advocate for what we can do in order to help cities, help vulnerable people, help businesses, help us start the economy better when we get to the other side, and to build a more resilient economy overall. I have a line in here that feels very political to me, but I'm going to say it anyway. All of this will help us continue to get through economic recovery and keep our property taxes the lowest in Canada, which is something that we are proud of. But ultimately, I've said this before, and no government is going to be able to save you from this pandemic. No business is going to be able to save you from this pandemic. You are going to save you from this pandemic. And the work that we do together and the sacrifices that we make together now are the ones that will really make a difference. Last weekend, I'm going to sound like your angry uncle here, there were way too many reports of way too many people doing bad stuff. While the vast, vast majority of Calgarians are being really vigilant and being really good, and I thank you for it, and it's making a difference, and it is not an exaggeration to say it is keeping people alive. There are some people who are not doing that. Tom called them crash test dummies earlier this week, which I didn't like because that just assumes that they're only injuring themselves. They're injuring others. I shouldn't say I don't care what they do to themselves, because I do, and it's a public health care system, so we should all care. But ultimately, when I saw those photos from Crescent Road, that is not right. So I'm going to try to be very clear on something. When Dr. Hinshaw mentioned that the ban on groups of over 15 is in place now and was likely to be in place through the rest of the summer, I got a bunch of people saying to me, oh, right, 15. So I can have a dinner party as long as it's under 15. I can go for a picnic as long as it's under 15. My kids can go on a play date as long as it's under 15. And sometimes they add, and we keep 6 feet apart. Okay, that is not what the restriction on gatherings over 15 means. What the restriction on gatherings over 15 means, if you must gather, you cannot have more than 15 people. So I'm going to be very blunt about this. It's for funerals. It's for things that are unavoidable, for people who have to come together. And it's also important to remember that it's 15 people who are under the age of 60, who have no immunocompromised systems, who have no other pre-existing conditions, and who have nothing else that might make them more ill than others. And so, no, it does not mean you can have a block party as long as you stay 6 feet apart. For now, it is still incredibly important that the only people you're with are the people you live with, the people in your bubble, the people in your cohort family, as Dr. Hinshaw calls it. And yes, you can go out once a week, preferably, no more than that, to do your shopping. We prefer if it's one member of the family that does that. You can go out for an hour a day, let's say, to get some fresh air and get some exercise. You should do that in your own neighborhood. Now, if you're a super speedy runner like Tom and you're getting tired of doing loops in your own neighborhood, you can go a little bit afield, but we don't want everybody going to those McHugh Bluff stairs and running the stairs and doing boot camp at a distance. That I'm using words that I don't know what they mean. But we don't want people doing that. Number 3, if you are performing an essential service, you can go do your work. We need you. And we're trying to make it safe for you to do that. And number 4, if you're volunteering to help others who cannot help themselves, then you should be out there doing that work. Beyond that, for now, until we get better information from Dr. Hinshaw, for now, you got to stay in your bubble. And that 15 does not give you an excuse to get out of your bubble. I had a friend text me last night saying her kids, who are in their 20s and should know better, were showing her the website that says limit on gatherings of 15 and saying, see, Mom, that means I can have 13 friends over. And she said, Mayor, talk some sense into them. I have lots of jobs in my role right now, but I'm asking you this, not just as the Mayor of Calgary. I'm asking you this as someone who lives with a senior. I'm asking you this as someone who has many immunocompromised friends. I'm asking you this as someone whose dad died of COVID this week, as someone who has another friend, both of whose parents are in the hospital right now, as someone who has had role models and family members and friends. I tried to count how many people I know around the world who've died within 6 degrees of separation, and I couldn't do it. Not only because there were so many, but because it was too hard. And ultimately, that's why I'm asking you this. I'm asking you this as your neighbor and as a Calgarian who wants to see us come out of this stronger together. I don't know if I should be telling you this, but I will. Last night, I found myself on a very strange FaceTime call. A friend of mine had said, on Thursday nights, I get together with a few buddies and we just talk about our week. Do you want to join us? And I thought to myself, geez, I spend my whole day looking at video conferences. I'm not sure I want another one. And he said, just join us for a few minutes. And so these 5 guys, my age and a bit older, get together on Thursday nights. They're going to regret adding me because now I'm telling you about them. And they just do 2 rounds, each of the 5. And they say, tell me something you're grateful for this week. That's round 1. Round 2, tell me what you need. And to me, that very simple act of kindness for your friends was so deeply meaningful. So my homework for you this weekend, even though the weather is beautiful, is I want you to reach out to your friends and I want you to ask them, what are you grateful for and what do you need? And those little acts of humanity, those little things that we do, are what is going to get us through this. So let me tell you what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for the fact that you are doing extraordinary work to keep yourselves and, more important, to keep other people in the community safe. Thank you for that. It makes a difference. What do I need? I need all those people for whom I have many nouns that I cannot repeat in public to stay off the damn roads and pathways to make sure that we are keeping everybody safe. And the other thing I need is I need you to reach out if you're having trouble. I need you to really make sure to remember always that you live in a community where we are together and we'll get through this as we always get through this together. So don't forget, hasn't changed since the beginning. Clean hands, clear heads, open hearts. You're being asked to do something very simple. Stay home to help those who can't. Be kind to everyone. Together we'll save lives. So with that, let us go to questions. Operator, can you put the first question through, please?
First question comes from Madeline Smith at the Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Hey again, folks. I think this question is probably for Chief Sampson. Just wondering what the situation is looking like at the city in terms of supply of PPE. Obviously, that's not something every city employee needs, but things like gloves are quite important for certain parts of the workforce. So just wondering how that is going and what kind of supply you have at the moment.
You bet. With respect to PPE, we have about a 6-month supply, I'm told, of our respective PPE that's required. Now, I think one of the challenges that you have to remember when you're dealing with PPE, there's the perception of need versus the real need. So our safety officers will do an assessment of an area and decide whether our staff need to be wearing an N95, so the medical type mask that would be predominantly worn by our police officers, peace officers, and firefighters, or whether you need a surgical mask. Those might be worn by police officers who are arresting somebody. They may put the mask on the individual they're arresting, or conversely, firefighters when they're in the truck together and they can't get the appropriate spacing, those sorts of things. And then we use face coverings, and so those would go to our transit drivers or maybe some of our folks doing water repair, those sorts of things, so they protect themselves from each other. And so we're proud of the fact that City Council gave us money in advance of this event to have a pandemic supply. We're proud of the fact that our friends in purchasing have been able to secure supplies. And we're really pleased that the government of Alberta has topped off our surgical masks because we had planned predominantly for airborne pandemic, like SARS, as opposed to what surgical masks are used for. And so we needed more surgical masks, and the province of Alberta has helped us attain those. Thanks.
Next question, please.
Our next question comes from Sammy Hudis of Post Media. Your line is open.
Hi there. My question's for the mayor. You mentioned the commercial rent relief announced earlier today by the Prime Minister. I'm just wondering, obviously businesses have already had to make important decisions about whether they should close. Is this enough that's being announced by the federal government, and should it have come sooner?
I am not, during this pandemic, going to second guess people's actions and the timing of them. What I will say is this is the number one thing businesses have been asking me to advocate for. So I don't know the details, and I can't answer the question if it's enough. There are certainly many other things we need to do to ensure the success of our businesses. But really, this was number one on the list, and I'm really happy to see this being announced and to come forward. You know, we have seen lots of statistics that say that after a natural disaster, 30 to 40% of the businesses that close during the disaster never reopen. And our goal right now needs to be to bring that number down as low as possibly we can. We brought it down to below 5% after the flood. I don't think we'll get that low given the length of all of this, but ultimately we need to help every single business out there succeed that we can. Next question, please. Maybe we're done. Operator, are there any more questions?
Our next question comes from Darren Krause of Livewire. Your line is open.
So I just have two questions here. One question is just a quick clarification in regards to the August 31st ban. Did I hear that if the situation changes and we start to see a big reduction and the province starts relaxing measures, perhaps that the city would revisit the August 31st? Did I hear that correctly or no?
Not quite. So what you heard was that Dr. Hinshaw has made it clear that her ban on mass gatherings will be in place until August 31st. That's our understanding. The question is, will things that are not mass gatherings be eased up on between now and then? I would anticipate that there's a good possibility that they may, but when we think about mass gatherings, when we think about events like the ones we've been talking about today, I can't see a world where that would be lifted before August 31st. Now, you know, smaller things like, can I have a picnic in the park with my 6 friends if we're 6 feet apart? Those things may change over the course of the summer, but I think Dr. Hinshaw was pretty clear yesterday that her mass gathering applies to summer events. All right, next question, please.
Next question comes from Scott Dipple of CBC. Your line is open.
Hi, Mayor. I was wondering if you could provide an update on the city's layoff situation. There were more layoffs this week, and just wondering what the road in the near term looks like.
Sure. So as you know, we have had to let about 10% of the city workforce go. Most of that we did in one chunk towards the beginning of all of this when we closed the recreation facilities. We were unfortunately had to let another 80 of our colleagues go this week, roughly, really due to lack of work. The city is very, very concerned with balancing 3 things. Number one is making sure we've got enough people to do the work, because as a very large employer, as people might become ill or have to self-isolate, we just have fewer staff. So we have to be able to make sure we're managing that. Number 2 is the absolute necessity to continue to provide essential services. Because to Tom's point earlier about transit, there may only be 2 people on that Route 22, but those 2 people have to get to work. They're performing essential services and we need them to get to work. And so we have to be able to continue to provide these services. And number 3 is, with our burn rate of up to $15 million per week, we have to make sure that we are keeping the city government as lean as possible through all of this, and making sure that we are very focused without sacrificing the other 2. So I don't mind telling you that's hard. That's hard to put into a soundbite. But I know that my colleagues at the city are working very hard to ensure that we continue to provide the services Calgarians need, and we do so at a cost that is as low as possible during these times. Did you have a follow-up, Scott?
are you looking at as you proceed? Would it be more like smaller scale layoffs, like the 80 that happened this week, as opposed to hundreds more at a fell swoop?
It's very difficult for me to answer that question because it is directly related to the services that we provide. So if we stopped providing a service, for example, and the people just didn't have work, and we were unable to redeploy them, then you would see larger things. My goal is to continue to advocate to the federal and provincial governments to give us financial assistance so that we can continue to provide the services people need. All right, I'll go to the next question, please.
Our next question comes from Daniel Austin of the Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Thank you. Just wanted to double check. End of August will include the Shaw Charity Classic. That will presumably, that golf tournament will be canceled.
I have not yet had conversations with the organizers of that tournament. And in fact, you are reminding me of something, which is I have not looked at a calendar to see when the Labor Day long weekend is. So we're going to have to make a decision on the events over the course of that weekend as well, because don't forget there's also another very large event that weekend, which is Calgary Pride. For now, the ban extends to August 31st.
Okay. And just quickly, just a follow-up in terms of parks and pathways. And I just want to make sure that I understand the risk, because so many of the cases we hear about obviously come from sort of people's places of work or within places where they live. So there have been transmissions on our parks and pathways and outdoor spaces in Calgary, right?
Yes. As far as we know. So now this is really a great question for Dr. Hinshaw and our public health experts. I can tell you that early on in this pandemic, I've been reading a lot, and there was a fair bit of research that said that it is much more difficult to transmit the virus outdoors than indoors. We haven't seen a lot more on that. I do know that the folks in public health are thinking hard about that. But I want to be clear that there are two potential methods of transmission when you're outdoors. So number one is you touch a surface and someone else touches that surface. And I think it's fair to say that we believe that there is such a thing as asymptomatic transmission. So, you touch that surface, you get it. The second is through droplets that people expel. And given that we're not in a situation where everyone's wearing masks, Tom and I have been having quite the conversation about that in terms of the parks and pathways. It is possible for people to expel droplets. So without being too gross about it, imagine if you are jogging or cycling and you expel droplets and they get into the slipstream behind you, and there's someone who is not 2 meters or 3 meters or 5 meters behind you, and they could very easily get exposed to that. And if they are also jogging and breathing heavily and huffing and puffing, there's a great inhalation. There you go. That was me pretending I know anything about epidemiology. But there is certainly a possibility of that. I do know that people around the world are trying to quantify that risk, and we will always use that science as it evolves in the advice that we're giving people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Our next question comes from Madeline Smith of the Calgary Herald. Your line is open.
Hi, I'm back. I just wanted to know a bit more about the city's future plans in terms of sort of financial planning. We've seen the city of Edmonton go ahead and say, these specific things are likely going to have to be delayed to kind of adapt to our new budget reality this week. So can we expect the same conversations to be coming around at Calgary City Council? I know there's been some significant financial updates already, but what does the lay of the land look like for the near future?
Thanks. We've done two significant financial updates already at City Council 2 weeks ago, and also at the Audit Committee last week. And we will be having a special meeting of Council on Wednesday that will be strictly devoted to the discussion that you're talking about. So we'll be able to have some more information then. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up. I'll take one last question, please.
Our final question comes from Darren Krause of the Live Wire. Your line is open.
Yeah, so just I guess in relation to Madeline's question, also Sammy's before, with the rent relief, is the city looking at doing anything else to help city small businesses cope with what's going on right now?
Without financial infusion from the federal or provincial governments, our ability to do much more is pretty limited. We have, of course, as you know, deferred utility payments as well as the property tax for businesses and for individuals, such that if you're having trouble paying, you will not see a penalty if you pay up until September 30th. That said, there are a number of things that small businesses are asking us to help them with that are a little bit outside of our reach, but are things that the federal and provincial government could get more engaged in, including building infrastructure quickly so that we can get some construction work happening in the city and all of the white collar, quote unquote, work around that, as well as working on different programs for specific industries like travel, tourism, energy that have been particularly hard hit, and we won't stop advocating for those. So with that, let me say thank you, everyone. Have yourself a good weekend. Technical notes, because we have lots of council meetings and stuff coming up, and those are on Mondays. We are going to switch these briefings to Tuesdays and Thursdays starting next week. So have a good weekend, everyone, and we will see you on Tuesday. Remember, clean hands, clear heads, open hearts.